This is Zoom. Yeah. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshuram Lalitam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatai Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Nana Shastra Vichare Kanipano Sadharma Samsapakam Lokanamitakarinu Tribhuvane Mahanyo Sharanyakaram Radha Krishna Padara Vindra Bhajana Nandena Mattalikayo Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako. Hi Krishna, we welcome everyone for today's discussion from Nectar of Instruction. If I am correct, so who would like to help me remind where are we? Huh? Okay, fourth verse is done. So today we're going to begin our discussion from the fifth verse as what I've been told right now over here. So very first verse, Vachvegam Manasa Krodhavegam, which talks about controlling the six Vegas, six urges. Shadavegadomi Shadodosha Shodhi Shahaguna Dehodase. Like this, Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays and Ohe Vaishnava Thakur sang Shadvegadomi. Please give me the strength to tolerate the six urges. Shad Dosha Shodhi. Please help me get purified of the six faults. Atihara Priyashas Prajalpa Niyamagra Janasanga Lalyam. And Chaha Guna Sangadesh. What is that? Chaha Dosha Shodhi. Chaha Guna Desho. Shad Guna Dehodas. Something like that. I'm missing the first word. Shad or Shaha. Should be six. Like this. So give me six good qualities. Guna. Which is Usaha Nisha Dharya. Tattat Kama Pavatana Sangatyaga Satovritti. Like this. And then he says Chaha. What is that? Satsanga. Give me six kind of holy association, which is Dadati, Pratigranati, Gunyamakyati, Prachati, Dunkate, Bhojate, Chaiva. Like this, what we have discussed so far. The prohibitions, the things to be accepted in one's spiritual life. Like that has been the discussion so far. Now, while talking about loving exchanges with devotees, hey, we were supposed to read the last page, isn't it? We're supposed to read the last page, the warning, the negative injunction. We have not read that. Do not associate with atheists. We still have a last page remaining in text 4, which we left it last time saying that we'll read it next time. So we'll read that and then we'll start with the fifth verse, because then it'll give us a proper understanding why we're coming to the fifth verse. Okay, if anyone would like to read. In this regard, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur wants all devotees engaged in broadcasting the Krishna conscious movement not to speak to the impersonalists, Mayavadis were always determined to oppose such theistic movements. Anyone found it? Okay,
Yeah.
Mother Rashmi. Unmute yourself.
In this regard, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur warns all devotees engaged in broadcasting the Krishna consciousness movement not to speak to the impersonalist Mayavadis, who are always determined to oppose such theistic movements. The world is full of Mayavadis and atheists, and the political parties of the world take advantage of Mayavad and other atheistic philosophies to promote materialism. Sometimes they even back a strong party to oppose the Krishna consciousness movement. The Mayavadis and other atheists do not want the Krishna consciousness movement to develop because it educates people in God consciousness. Such is the policy of the atheist. There is no benefit in feeding a snake milk and bananas because the snake will never be satisfied. On the contrary, by taking milk and bananas, the snake simply becomes more poisonous. Kevalam visha vardhanam. If a snake is given milk to drink, its poison simply increases. For a similar reason, we should not disclose our minds to the serpent Mayavadis and Karmis. Such disclosures will never help. It is best to avoid association with them completely and never ask them about anything confidential because they cannot give good advice. Nor should we extend invitations to Mayavadis and atheists, nor accept their invitations. For by such intimate intermingling, we may become affected by their atheistic mentality. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. It is the negative injunction of this verse that we should refrain from giving anything to or accepting anything from the Mayavadis and atheists. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also warned Vaishya Anna Khele Dushta Haya Mana. By eating food prepared by worldly people, one's mind becomes wicked.
Hare
Unless
Krishna.
one is
Just a quick pause over here. So we should not close intimately with the Mayavadis, with the atheists. And then another point which was mentioned was we should also not disclose our minds to the serpent Mayavadis and the Karmis. Such disclosure will never help because what advice can they really give? Even if they have to give you any advice, even if they're your well-wisher, but their advice would be in the direction of either impersonalistic ideas or else towards a footy work. So that's the reason should not disclose. It is best to avoid association with them completely and never ask them about anything confidential because they cannot give good advice like this. Sangha Sanjayata Kahama. Now, along with this, we are talking about Pradati Pratighanati kind of thing. Guhyam Akhyati Prachiti has been discussed. Now Prabhupada quoting Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur talk about Bhunkate Bhojate Chaiva. So one should offer prasadam to others and one should accept prasadam. In that regard, let's pay attention to this once again very carefully. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also warned Visha ira ana khaile dushta hayaman. By eating food prepared by worldly people, one's mind becomes wicked. Any thoughts, any reflection? Extremely important thing, which often we take it very lightly because this is not the vow we take at the time of initiation or whatever it is, or maybe lack of faith on this. By eating food prepared by worldly people, one's mind becomes wicked. What is that? Taittiriya Upanishad talks about this Anamay, Pranamay, Jnanamay, Vijnanamay, Anandamay Kosh. There, in fact, Mundaka Upanishad also talks about it. We discussed it lately, I believe, in the parenting discussion about Anamay Kosh. I'll give one example, and maybe if anyone wants to say something on it, we can discuss it. Draupadi, this is at the time when Bhishma Pitama was lying on the battlefield, and Lord Shri Krishna, along with Pandavas, had come to meet Bhishma Pitama for clarifying doubts of Yudhishthira Maharaj. And the conversation went on for a month between Yudhishthira and Bhishma Pitama. During the course of conversation, at one point of time, Yudhishthira Maharaj asked a question to Bhishma Pitama about Stri Dharma. He asked about everything, Kula Dharma, Raj Dharma, Brahman Dharma, etc., etc. So he asked about Stri Dharma also. While Bhishma Pitama was speaking about Stri Dharma, Draupadi was also there. And when she heard the words of wisdom coming from the mouth of Bhishma Pitama, who Draupadi held culpable for not defending her at the time when she was disrobed and publicly insulted, when she heard the words of wisdom for Stri, for the woman, she became extremely enraged. She walked up to Bhishma Pitama and she said, "Oh, now sitting here, lying down here, speaking big, big words of wisdom, where was your wisdom when your daughter-in-law, great daughter-in-law, the queen, I was not no ordinary woman, I was the queen, I was disrobed, publicly insulted, has never ever such an incident occurred in the history of mankind. And it happened right in front of your eyes. You were there in the assembly, I asked for your help, but you said, oh, ask Yudhishthira Maharaj, how dare he bet you when he lost himself. Like that, you said, Dharma is very difficult to understand. And now you're speaking big, big words. She chastised heavily. And now Bhishma Pitama says something very, very profound. Bhishma Pitama, with complete composure, calmness, and he said, Draupadi, I acknowledge my mistake. I could not help you that one at a time because my consciousness was contaminated. Why? Because I was eating the food served to me by Duryodhana and his family. Because of consuming that food, the blood in my body was contaminated because the blood is generated from the food that you eat. So that was contaminated. My consciousness got contaminated. But on the 10th day of battlefield at Kurukshetra, when your husband Arjuna shot arrows at my body, all the blood oozed out of my body. And thus all the contamination came out of my body. Now I'm left, or in other words, now by the grace of your husband Arjuna, I have regained my original consciousness. Therefore, I'm able to speak. So eating food cooked by Duryodhana and his party led to such a state of Bhishma Pitama. This is the words of Bhishma Pitamaha. And that is what is mentioned. I can give you hundreds of examples like this. Particularly those in Brahmachari ashram, you fast, I don't care, do Nirjala Ekadashi, but you cannot eat outside food. What can be eaten? Okay, let me not draw such a strong structure here. Let me say what can be eaten, what cannot be eaten. What you can eat is what is not cooked on the flame. You can eat anything like fruits, any dry things you can accept. Particularly for let me talk about those who are congregation, those who go to office. Now, for you, what you can do at your end when you're traveling, or when you have to attend business parties, something like that, you can take fruit juices, you can take fruit salads, anything which has not been prepared on this fire, because fire becomes a medium of transfer of consciousness. That's how the science works out. So, like that, we should, of course, if it is in a very kind of a situation where you have not eaten for days together, then it's a different thing. But in general, we should avoid. If it's only a matter of a day or two, you're not going to die. Nothing's going to happen. Drink water. Your body would be happy for getting enough of water. Why keep feeding so much? So that's the point here. That you can take it. Again, even within the cooked items, the rice is the one which is said to get the most contamination. Even in the cooked items, the rice is said to be the one which is. Therefore, when you go to any holy sites or holy places, traditional temples, you would have heard of the word pakwan. Anyone knows what is pakwan? तो सब तो सिर्फ दुला रहे हैं पकवान, मीठा मीठा गुलाब जामुन खाकर आए हो पकवान. That is not pakwan. What is pakwan? No, not like this. There are 5 varieties of items which make pakwan. So, homework for all of you. Do your R&D, come back tomorrow and tell me what is those 5 items pakwan that can be taken. And that is a second degree. And the last is the rice item. like this. I mean, what's the science? I have not studied much myself in the details of it, but it's a subject matter. Those who are diet conscious, they can take it up. Okay. Anyone else want to add something to it? Hare Krishna. So, no Jain pizza at Pizza Hut. I recently heard about it. An initiated devotee was traveling, giving a ride to another devotee. He has gone to this particular country, and while coming back to home, he thought this devotee would be hungry, and he himself was a little hungry. He had gone right from the office. He said, "Prabhu, what do you say? Can we have Jain pizza from Pizza Hut?" And I said, I never knew there is a Jain pizza offered by Pizza Hut. How can you even go to Pizza Hut? In the same Pizza Hut, you're given, what is that, beef and all that, in the same kitchen they serve. I'm not talking about India. Maybe India's standard may be different. I don't know about it. But in the West, beef is so common. And I asked, I inquired, and later I got to know every week that fellow goes and takes Jain pizza there. He is duly initiated in everything. Okay, so I was like, okay, a lot of education is needed in general like this. So like this, many things can happen. Of course, there are certain exceptions to the rule. Maybe I can, because I raised this point, I can say, for example, you're traveling in a flight, let's say from India to America, 25 hours straight direct flight. And you have to, as soon as you land up there, you have to give programs and whatnot, and you have a lot of services lined up. And in that case, for some reason, you just didn't have prasadam while you left from here. In that case of emergency, you can accept Indian Airlines have Jain meal. You can accept Jain meal in that emergency, which is prepared in the nice kitchen and comes from the Jain kitchen like this. In that emergency, but again, don't accept food from Mayavadi's percentage, so don't make it a law. Better carry fruits along with you. All right. Yes. Okay. Nothing else over here. So we'll go ahead. Mother, who was reading? Rashmi. Okay. Nitai Pranpu. Yeah. You want to say something?
Prabhu, I just
Kitchen is, food is such a topic. Discussion cannot stop on this. Hoping
yes,
for
Prabhu,
some.
that's very true. Yeah, that's very true. I have a query regarding the processed food, which has been now very common nowadays, like cookies and these namkeens and such things. Now, they are something which have been prepared in the industries, mainly not being processed using hands, and everything is been prepared over big set of machines. So, what's our view on such items? Should we take them, or should we avoid them as well?
In general, the practice should be to accept things prepared by devotees. That's the best practice. Now, when it comes to this kind of snack items, this should only be taken when there is a very much need of it. Let's say maybe for a child, somebody who has kids, for them, okay, but we should definitely not get into the practice of it. The whole, the processed food that it is made, it is entirely tamaguni. So when you're honoring it, you're just taking more and more tamaguni on yourself. Lord Shri Krishna, 17th chapter, talks about the food in Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. And largely all packaged items are in Tamaguna. They're processed and stored, added with chemicals to maintain their life for a longer period of time. Not good for health, not good for consciousness. If not anything, at least it will definitely increase the Tamaguna.
Okay.
So best ways, of course, I can understand you're staying in UK. I do understand there are challenges at times. If in case husband and wife both are working, there is no culture of maids in the West, so everything is done by an individual. Life can get hectic. I remember I was visiting Dallas. No, not Dallas. Which was that place? Austin, right? Yeah, I was visiting Austin. I was staying with a devotee. So the Mataji and Prabhu both works, and on Sunday evening, Mataji was frantically preparing chapati after chapati after chapati. And I observed it. I said, what's going on? And I couldn't really refrain myself. After 2 hours of she making chapati non-stop, I said, Mother, I don't see so many people in the house. Whom are you preparing? She said, Prabhu, this is our week quota. This is our quota for the week. I'm going to make it, roll it, keep it in the freezer. And now the kids will come, the husband will come, they'll take out the chapati, put it in the microwave, heat it up and eat it. I said, fantastic. I'm glad I'm here for 2 days. Already have a long time. Being a North Indian, I would be also forced to take chapati. I'll be taking cold storage chapatis. I mean, that's a little challenge over there. Very sincere practitioners, no doubt about it. It's a little challenge, but still our consciousness cannot evolve. It's very difficult. We've already come from such a turbulent background. We're living in such a turbulent time. This makes a lot of difference. And therefore, devotees at times remain dull-headed. Inattentive during japa. Okay, let me put it this way. You can see your quality of advancement. Madhuri Kadamini, we were discussing yesterday as well, making a point. Madhuri Kadamini very categorically, Srila Vishnachakri Thakur very categorically mentions, it is about Adho Shraddha Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya. This is the verse which has been highlighted and elaborated in Madhuri Kadamini. Where Vishnachakri Thakur very, very clearly mentions about at every stage, how many hours a devotee sleeps. And during that course of discussion, one point he mentions that our quality of advancement can be evaluated by the quality of chanting. Now, the more we acquire tamaguna, the more we'll fall asleep during chanting. Even if you have 8 hours of sleep, we're gonna sleep off because there is a lot of tamaguna. And when you sit down in meditation, what's gonna happen? Either you go in dreamy state. Those who are in passion, their mind is very fast. And they go in planning stage. Those in tamaguna, they go in sleepy state. Only one who has maintained certain amount of satoguna may remain alert and attentive to the chanting. Of course, we should not become judgmental from this understanding towards others. It is for self-evaluation. Others could be that maybe they didn't have a proper sleep in the night, maybe they overate in the night. That could be different thing. Don't think about others. But for oneself, I'm making a point that we should understand this. And the best way to understand what's the quality of chanting, sit with a timer and see what's going on. Is it 6 to 7 on an average? If it is beyond 8.5 or 9 minutes, you're dozing off or getting distracted. Either way. When the mind begins to chat, again, the chanting becomes longer. And if it is going less than 5 minutes, you're definitely chanting only 56 around, 56 names and counting 108. For Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, one bead is moved. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, another bead is moved. So like this, 108 times becomes 56, and your round ends up in 4.5 minutes or 5 minutes. So kindly do that everyone tomorrow. Huh? Just see what's your situation. Okay, make a point for tomorrow, and give me your timings. What was your timing? All right, Nithai Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu.
I saw someone asking about Maggie. मैगी अभी हो गया प्रभु आपका मैगी खाने का समय हाँ सुधीर प्रभु अभी आप घर में सेवई खाओ फ्रेश बनाकर ओके मैगी is a perverted reflection of sevai. Okay, Prabhu. If not, you anyways in Pune, we'll give you the recipe. We'll feed you nice, freshly cooked sevai. Very nice sevai, okay? All right. Prabhuji. Yes. Yes, Mother Medhavni.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Prabhu, I just wanted to share, there was one devotee from the Chowpatty congregation was invited to Ajay Piramal's daughter and, Isha Ambani's wedding.
Correct. He was a Brahmana. Yeah. That's okay. We'll not go into that story details. Correct. Okay. Any question to clarify? Where is what? Yeah. Any this thing? Sorry, I lost my screen only here. Yes, Mother Rashmi.
I have a question. You said fire becomes the medium of transfer of consciousness. So why not like cutting and chopping fruits and salad?
Well, I don't know about why for this, but this is what it is.
Okay.
When you jump up, the law of gravity pulls you down. a question can be asked by a science student to his teacher. Oh, why gravity does not throw you out of the sky? So, I mean, probably the question is on that direction. I don't know. You know, it works like this, it works like this. Yeah, okay, fine. Hare Krishna. So on the food, I have to operate this. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also warned. Okay, Mother Rashmi, you are reading, right? Continue reading.
Unless one is very advanced, he is unable to utilize everyone's contribution to further the Krishna consciousness movement. Therefore, on principle, one should not accept charity from the Mayavadis or atheists. Indeed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has forbidden devotees to associate even with ordinary man who are too addicted to material sense gratification.
Hare
The
Krishna.
conclusion is that
Therefore, on principle, one should not accept charity from the Mayavadis or atheists. Would anyone like to elaborate something on this? Mother Rashmi, just read the last few lines once again. Unless one is very advanced. Unless one is
very advanced, he is unable to utilize everyone's contribution to further the Krishna consciousness movement. Therefore, on principle, one should not accept charity from the Mayavadis or atheists. Indeed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has forbidden devotees to associate even with ordinary men who are too addicted to material sense gratification.
Any thoughts on this? On principle, one should not accept charity from the Mayavadis or atheists. What does it mean? Nitai Prabhu, can I say something?
Yeah, Prabhu, this is contrary to what we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita, because you remember that in the Bhagavad Gita, we had a discussion that we should even give them a chance so that they can establish that principle of detachment. At least if they are not following anything, let them at least give some kind of a charity so that they can develop that detachment.
12th chapter, verse number 11 is what Nitai Prabhu is quoting. Okay, very interesting. Let's hear from others. What is it? What is going on here? Yes, Abhishek Prabhu. Unless one is advanced devotee, one should not accept charity.
So whatever we are doing is already under the direction of
You're making 2 points. Unless one is advanced, and now you're making second point, that whatever we are doing under the direction of advanced devotee, Prabhupada.
So we can accept the charity.
Achha. Okay. We can accept the charity because we are doing it under the direction of Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, that's a big gray area. Okay, okay. Anything else? Anything else? What does it mean? Yes, Mother Yagya?
Pranam, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I think for sadhakas, it should be very strict that since they are in a very sensitive state.
Okay, okay. Poor sadhaka doesn't have much freedom to do things. Okay, poor sadhaka should be strict. What else? The principle is very simple. One should not accept it for oneself. One can accept it for the lordships. Therefore, no charity should be kept in one's pocket. It should go directly to the service of the lordship, which means temple. Now, traditionally, there used to be brahmanas, grahastha brahmanas, they would accept charity because that's how they'll maintain their household expenses like this. That was a different culture. I mean, even today we could have some like this, but for that, you have to be very careful for whom you're accepting. Because now you're using the charity for maintaining yourself. But in general, we can accept. I'll give you an example, or maybe I'm not going to take too much time. Just like somebody is having a big non-veg shop, you're collecting funds for temple or something. Now somebody comes from that big non-veg shop or franchise. He says, we'd like to give you 1 crore rupees. So what should we do? There's a good amount of money. Please remember this thing: when somebody gives you any part of their wealth, there's always an exchange of karma. So we also accept the karma of that. Now that money that person has earned, which is very visible to our eyes, has come from the killing of so many innocent animals. So that's too much to handle. That's too much to handle. And don't we have enough people in this country who can really contribute? Why to honestly create a trouble for oneself like this? So one of our very senior leaders in ISKCON, when this situation had occurred for one particular temple, he said, no, we cannot collect donation. Who will digest the karma? Of course, the karma will go. I mean, who is accepting? Srila Prabhupada, we on behalf of Srila Prabhupada collecting, we are giving to the temple. Now we are also accountable for it, na? Ultimately, उसी पैसे का कुछ ना कुछ प्रसाद बनकर आएगा, temple भी उसका बनेगा. So some reaction will come like that. So it's all this a pretty intricate subject matter. Entrepreneurs should not accept charity from the Mayavadis or atheists like this. So for a brahmachari in general, whatever comes should directly go to the temple account. There is no question of keeping anything in your pocket. And thanks to Modi ji, he has digitized everything. Now you get online transfer. Problem solved. No cash handling. You know. So I remember the early days I used to say, no cash. You do whatever you send it to temple. I'm not going to give any cash. You know, it can always, land up in your pocket, and from your pocket you can just spend somewhere. Why to take a risk of it like this? So that's the point here. Fine. On principle, one should not accept charity from the Mayavadis or atheists. Now, while for somebody is now contributing towards a temple, that's a different thing. You can take it, but we know that profession is so sinful from which the money has come, then we should be careful. That's the point here. Okay, if nothing else to discuss, we can go ahead. The conclusion. Somebody else would like to read now? Can another devotee read? Krishna Chandra Prabhu, go ahead.
Yep. Hare Krishna. The conclusion is that we should always keep company with devotees, observe the regulative devotional principles, follow in the footsteps of the acharyas, and in full obedience carry out the orders of the spiritual master. In this way, we shall be able to develop our devotional service and dormant Krishna consciousness. The devotee who is neither a neophyte nor a Mahabhagavat, a greatly advanced devotee, but is within the middle status of devotional service, is expected to love the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So pay attention here now carefully. Prabhupada is now giving you an introduction of the next verse here. Prabhupada is connecting it with the next verse. Please go ahead, Prabhupada.
Yeah, Mahabhagavat, a greatly advanced devotee, but is within the middle status of devotional service, is expected to love the Supreme Personality of Godhead, make friends with the devotees, show favor to the ignorant, and reject the jealous and demonic. In this verse, there is brief mention of the process of making love transactions with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and making friends with devotees. According to the Dadati principle, an advanced devotee is supposed to spend at least 50% of his income on the service of the Lord and his devotees. Srila Rupa Goswami has set such an example in his life. When he decided to retire, he distributed 50% of his life earnings to Krishna's service and 25% to higher relatives, and kept the 25% for personal emergencies. This example should be followed by all devotees. Whatever one's income, 50% should be spent on behalf of Krishna and his devotees, and this will fulfill the demands of the Dadati. In the next verse, Srila Rupa Goswami informs us what kind of Vaishnava should be selected as a friend and how Vaishnavas should be served. Hare Krishna.
So text 4 talks about serving Vaishnavas. For that, now how Vaishnavas should be served, because Vaishnava is not a Vaishnava, there are different categories of Vaishnavas. So now text 5 talks about the different gradations of Vaishnavas and how each of them should be approached. Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta. Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta. Dikshasti chet pranitibhischa bhajantamesha. Susrushaya bhajana vijnanam ananyamanya. Nindadi shunya hedam ipsita sangalaptya. What meaning? Krishna, the holy name of Lord Krishna. Iti, thus, yasya, of whom, giri, in the words or speech, tam, him, manasa, by the mind, adriyeta, one must honor, diksha, initiation, asti, there is, chit, if, pranitibihi, obvious answers, cha, also, bhajantam, engaged in devotion service, isham, under the Supreme Personality Godhead, Susrushaya, by practical service. Bhajana Vijnanam, one is advanced in devotional service. Ananyam, without deviation. Anyanindadi, of blasphemy of others, etc. Shunya, completely devoid. Hidam, whose heart. Ipshita, desirable. Sangha, labdaya, sangha means association, labdya means by gaining. Translation, purport, His divine grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. All right. Mother Medhavani, would you like to read the translation, please? Hare Krishna. Okay, not sure Mother is there. Okay, Nikhil. Okay, go ahead, Nikhil.
Hare Krishna, Pranam. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation Diksha and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others.
Please read the first paragraph.
In order to intelligently apply the sixfold loving reciprocations mentioned in the previous verse, one must select proper persons and careful discrimination. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore advises that we should meet with the Vaishnavas in an appropriate way, according to their particular status. In this verse, he tells us how to deal with three types of devotees: the Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Uttam Adhikari. The Kanishta Adhikari is a neophyte who has received the Harinam initiation from the spiritual master and is trying to chant the holy name of Krishna. One should respect such a person within his mind as a Kanishta Vaishnava. A Madhyam Adhikari has received a spiritual initiation from the spiritual master and has been fully engaged by him in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The Madhyam Adhikari should be considered to be situated midway in devotional service. The Uttam Adhikari or highest devotee is one who is very advanced in devotional service, and Uttam Adhikari is not interested in blaspheming others. His heart is completely clean and he has attained the realized state of unalloyed Krishna consciousness. According to Srila Rupa Goswami, the association and service of such a Mahabhagavat or perfect Vaishnava are most desirable. One should
Hare
not remain.
Krishna. That's it. That's next paragraph. So now Prabhupada is talking about here, as the verse talks about, the three categories of Vaishnavas: Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari. The word to be paid attention is Adhikari, Adhikar. So one is at the Adhikar of Kanishta, second at Madhyama, and third at Uttama. And all of these are classified accordingly based on their knowledge and faith. The subject matter is discussed in 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and here also Srila Rupa Goswami has mentioned briefly. So Prabhupada, what we read right now, he says, Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta. Manase pranam karna chahiye adadnayam. Manasadriyeta. One should offer respects within the mind to whom? Krishneti yasya giritam. One who has uttered the word of Krishna. One who has chanted even once Krishna's name should be offered respect within the mind. What it means? That still intimate dealings are not to be much encouraged. So you offer respect because he's chanting the names of the Lord. Wonderful. Like this. So Prabhupada makes it into the format of initiation. First initiation, Prabhupada says, who has received the Harinam initiation and is trying to chant the holy name of Krishna, one should respect such a person within his mind as Kanishta Vaishnava. So initiation is the beginning process. Initiation is not the end of the road. Initiation is not coming to the, receiving the culmination of a practice of bhakti. So that's Kanishta Adhikari. Then Prabhupada says, classified Madhyam Adhikari, one who has been properly engaged, who has got initiation and who is properly engaged in devotional service. Such a person should be offered full danvats, like that. That is Madhyam Adhikari. I'm just saying what Prabhupada is writing here, help you understand. We'll elaborate more on this tomorrow. And then who is an Uttamadhikari? Uttamadhikari is one whose heart is completely devoid of finding faults in others. The envy manifest as 5. We spoke about it. Third canto Srimad Bhagavatam talks about it. Not 5, 4 levels mentions. In that, one of the features of envy is to pass sarcastic comments. That also is a part of subtle envy. Anyways, so one whose heart is completely devoid of fault finding. What's the line? Anya nindadi shunya hridam ipsita sangalabdya. And such association is very desirable for a devotee. So one should aspire to be in association with such devotees who do not find fault with other Vaishnavas. This is NOI text 5. I don't know how Ritvikism is surviving. Ritvikism or the Ritvik movement is surviving because their foundation is finding fault with Vaishnavas. You have been around with them for once or twice or thrice. Next session, they give you seminar, not seminar, workshop, 6 ghante ka. Vaishnavas' faults. So I don't know how they, and very clearly it is mentioned, Nindati Shunya Hridam Ipsita Sangalabdya. One should, in fact, if somebody finds faults, we should not be there only. We should have another associations mentioned like that. Okay, so this is the point. We'll see tomorrow. I intentionally kind of paused here. Now ahead, Papa talks more about neophyte, Madhyama, Uttama. Just to give you a summary of it, what it means. The classification is largely based on knowledge and faith. Nectar devotion also talks about it. We discussed that time over there also. So knowledge and faith. So the faith of a neophyte or Kanishta Adhikari is very feeble. If you want to say in Hindi, komal. Can get easily swayed by the association of non-devotees. Knowledge is also limited. Generally, their faith is the deity in the altar is the deity. The Lord resides in the temple only. They don't know how to respect Vaishnavas or they consider Vaishnavas to be ordinary. That's neophyte. By deeper analysis of the subject matter, many, we can say, experts or many devotees, they even further classify Kanishta as Kanishta Madhyama, Kanishta Uttama. Within that, there are gradations also like that. So it's a progressive degree. You start from one stage and go ahead. But you're Adhikari. You're Adhikari for Bhakti. You're not atheist. So being a Kanishta Adhikari is a very respectful position. You're an Adhikari, means you have an Adhikar of receiving Bhakti. So that's why Kanishta Adhikari. Madhyama Adhikari is one. Madhyama Adhikari whose faith is very strong. He has a good knowledge also. He knows how to respect Vaishnavas. He understands the Lord does not only reside in the altar. The Lord is present everywhere, like this. And he cannot be swayed very easily by others. He may not be able to defeat all the arguments, but he will not be swayed by others. Like this, Uttamadhikari. Uttamadhikari is a stage where only if one is situated can understand who is Kanishta, who is Madhyama, who is Uttama. One who is situated in Kanishta is totally confident. There is no other Uttamadhikari than I. Everyone else is Kanishta. And one who is situated at Uttamadhikari platform is totally convinced there is nobody else Kanishta as I am. Everyone else is Uttama. These are two opposite ends of it. Whereas Madhyamadhikari, for the purpose of preaching, for the purpose of interaction with the world, he needs to distinguish, he needs to discriminate. And he deals with Vaishnavas appropriately according to their level. Now, what is a thumb rule for us? We generally, how to deal with different Vaishnavas is a very tricky subject matter. Those of you involved in temple services, as even congregation, you just cannot decide, whom to be given what kind of respect. So therefore, generally the best advice for this is ask the temple leader, because ultimately he has to take a responsibility. Rather than we make a mistake about how to give respect or not, ask the temple leader whatever is decided. So then that's the best way to follow. It's not so easy to find out. Among Vaishnavas, you are visiting devotees. How do you give respect to whom and when? And if you give one devotee a better facility than another devotee, then again the things, confusion arises like this. So that's the subject matter over here. On this, we'll take a look tomorrow on Kanishta, Madhyama, Uttama, Adhikari subject matter. Any thoughts or any reflections anyone want to add over here? Oh yeah, this is the purport which talks about Diksha, very important purport. And this is the purport which talks at the end of it, Prabhupada says, I'll read out that point. A neophyte Vaishnava situated on the intermediate platform can also accept disciples. But such disciples must be on the same platform and should be understood that they cannot advance very well toward the ultimate goal of life. This is a very, very important verse, particularly for subject matter of Diksha also. I just read the last few lines of the purport. But it is mentioned if you accept a guru who is neophyte or who is Madhyama, then he can help you advance that much only, not beyond that. So we'll discuss on the subject matter of Diksha and Guru also, maybe along with the subject matter only. A question arises at times, what if my Guru is Madhyamadhikari? So can I not become Uttamadhikari or can I become Uttamadhikari? So I don't know how much relevant for this forum right now. But yeah, like this is a very important purpose. Okay, so anything else? We have few hands up over here. Mother Shweta, your hand is up.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mother.
Prabhuji, you told that you gave the reference of Pitama, Bhishma and Draupadi. So this comes in which canto of Srimad Bhagavatam?
Oh, no. This is from Mahabharata. This is not Srimad Bhagavatam, doesn't talk about all this. This is Aapka 9th and 11th Parva is 3 Parva. And the 12th Parva is Anushasan Parva. So this is in the 12th Parva, one of the shortest Parva of Mahabharata. There, these details, the whole discussion that happened between our Yudhishthira Maharaj and Bhishma Pitama is mentioned.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Yes, Mother Yagya.
Prabhuji, for Vaishnavas who are not in like proper devotee community, like we are in the mixed, among the mixed people, and we got to engage with people. So, as a Madhyam Adhikari, like we are also in the mindset of preaching. Whenever we have this situation where we are supposed to associate with the people, then the point is that we have to give our association to them. We don't have to take their association. So while doing that, there's a conflict which I usually encounter, and that is that while giving the association, they're not all people who are able to take it. So the mind keeps on saying that how to behave here, because there are different kinds of people. Some can accept, some cannot.
Are you talking devotees or non-devotees?
Non-devotees, because we're not in the Vaishnava or devotee community. We have to engage in the.
Okay. So generally the thumb rule for Madhyamadhikari, how he deals with non-devotee audiences and ignorant. He gives association and helps him or her move forward. However, finds somebody is envious, he keeps a distance. Now, in terms of if you're talking about your own family members, that subject matter has to be seen in a proper understanding how to deal with one's own family member. But when it comes to outsiders, only challenge would be dealing with your friends. Apart from that, everywhere else, it's all about you scratch my back, I scratch your back. Either in professional life, either in the coaching institute, everywhere else. Everywhere people have become extremely competitive. Nobody wants to help anyone. And if you, in case you have some friends there, you have to apply this rule, and see how it works out. In fact, gradually, as we become more and more, the Vaishnav community, you'll find many new friends in the Vaishnav circle itself. As I said, the birds of the same feather flock together. And if it is about family members, then we have to be a little bit more sensitive and careful while dealing. Okay?
Yes. Thank you.
It's a case-by-case situation, has to be seen. Okay. Nitai Pran Prabhu?
Yeah, thank you for the session, Prabhu, today. Prabhu, I have a question regarding this word or the designation adhikari. So adhikari, you said that one who has the right to receive the bhakti. So this stands true for the Kanishth, but why for even Uttam we called this as the adhikari? Because they have attained that position of doing the bhakti. So they have already received
Adhikari, correct. Adhikari is a respectful denomination to call somebody. Adhikari. Not only that, he's, one thing is, it declares, it's a way of addressing actually. Therefore, Papa said, Kanishth Adhikari, who has got Harinam Diksha. So like this, Papa. So that's the meaning of it, Kanishth Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, Uttam Adhikari. These is a way of addressing also, a respectful denomination. And second thing is, yes, because they're practicing bhakti, so they are the recipient. They deserve or they have the right to receive bhakti, like that. Now, when you talk about Uttama Adhikari, they have already attained it. So how do you wish to call them? Uttama? How do you wish to address? This is what it is. It is not indicating that they're yet to receive or not receive like that, but it's generally seen in the form of respectful address. Like that. Other thing is also when we study the subject matter and more carefully and attention, and then we receive things according to our adhikar. For example, realizations. A Kanishth Adhikari cannot have a realization on the level of Uttam Adhikari. So there is an adhikar of realization also. So that's the subject matter also, like this. Okay. Ultimately, it is Krishna. Sarvasya cham iti sannivishto mataha smritam jnanam apohanancha. It is he who gives that remembrance. How often it happens you're giving a class and suddenly something comes out and you also wonder, oh, I never thought like this. And it makes sense. From where it is happening? Sarvasya cham iti sannivishto mataha smritam jnanam apohanancha. Or when you're reading a book and suddenly like, oh, wow, that's fantastic. I never thought like this. It could be like this. Therefore, these books should be reread. I love this coming together and sitting and reading Prabhupada books. Just read through Prabhupada books, and different devotees may find something very relevant and then share. Frankly speaking, this is more relishable for me, this forum, than to give a sermon where I need to speak only. Because I get to also hear, some may say, okay, Prabhu, this is the point which really got highlighted for me. I see this as Machita Madgata Prana Bodhiyantah Parasparam Katyantas Chamamityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. So I am very much up for this kind of forum and continue with it as long as some people are there to join it. Like this. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Goswami ki, Upadesha